Alright, hello everyone. I'm back with a new video. This video is going to be on an Optimod sound card. It's an audio processor in a sound card. So it is basically an Orban Optimod, except it's a sound card instead of their full-featured rack mount audio processor. Okay, so this is the model called 1100 version 2. Okay, so this one's not the newest one. The newest one is 1101E. That is a PCI Express. Alright, so this is the PCI version of the card, not the PCIe. So this is the 1100. So let's see if I can do this. Alright. Looks pretty good. I think I'm gonna have to cut that, right? Alright, so there it is. As you can see, PCI, not PCIe. So this will work in some older computers. Apparently it works with Windows 10, but I'm going to be using it with Windows 7 because I don't use Windows 10. I'm surprised that they say it works with Windows 10, but apparently it does. We'll find out if it works even with Windows 7. This was designed for like Windows XP era stuff, so not sure. As you can see, Optimod PC. Now, this thing is advertised primarily for audio production and streaming, people that are doing online radio, that kind of stuff. It is not advertised for FM radio. However, it seems to have everything in it that would make it work with FM radio. The only stipulation there is to it is that the FM radio requires preemphasis, and so you have to set it up so that the transmitter doesn't use preemphasis, and you set the preemphasis on here instead, so that it doesn't double do the preemphasis, and so that it doesn't cause overshoots. So this thing will manage the preemphasis itself. Now this thing would probably be better to use in some kind of transmitter that already has some sort of basic audio processor in it, or like an emergency clipper. One of my transmitters, the BW Broadcast TX5, which is their 5-watt model that they no longer sell, it's got a built-in audio processor in the BW Broadcast, but it's terrible. You can only select presets, and none of the presets sound good because they're so overprocessed it makes everything flat. So I got this primarily to use with that transmitter as something that I can actually control the parameters of the AGC and all that stuff. So this is a 5-band audio processor. It's $400, which is a really great deal for a 5-band audio processor, especially something that you'd use at an FM station. Because like you can see in these images that I'm going to place in the video right now, these transmitters that these audio processors that you're seeing here, these are way more expensive, and they're actually not much better than this, if better at all. This thing is pretty much just as good as that. So, and it's $400 compared to like 2,000. All the way up to 5,000 or 6,000. So this is a really good deal. It says it's used, but it looks perfect. I mean, I wouldn't have known that this was used. Aside from that, you can see that looks a little weird, but otherwise, this looks pristine. So anyway, this thing comes with the cable. It's a special cluster of cables that has like a serial port type connector on it, see? So it's got that, and then it's got all of the XLR cables. So it's got analog input, analog output, digital input, digital output. And the digital is AES3 digital. A lot of Pro Studio or broadcast equipment does have that. Some of it doesn't. Some of it only has MPX or left and right audio inputs. Those ones are not going to work with this, but luckily the BW Broadcast has an AES digital input, which is going to be excellent because when I run cables across the ground and there's RF in the room, it causes a buzz to enter the cable, and so having that as AES digital is going to be really good. So I'm excited to find out how that's going to work. But anyway, so this is what the software looks like. We'll take a look at the actual software in a little bit when I get this thing installed. But you can see there's the 5 bands right there. It's got an AGC, an HF enhancement. This is the mixer thing. So what's good about this thing is it's got analog input, digital input, 2 digital inputs actually, and then it's got wave input from PC. So this will actually act as the sound card of the PC. So you can have an external mixer and hook up the external mixer to the analog input, and then you can also have the PC's audio going directly into this thing, so it doesn't even have to go into the mixer. I might want to put it through the mixer anyway because then I can mix it. I mean, I could still mix it with this, with these levels, but it's a little bit... But the reason why it's good is because this means that the audio goes directly from digital all the way through the RF chain, all the way into the air, which makes it really good for noise. Like, it should have, like, absolute perfect quality because it's digital inside of the computer, it's going through the card in digital, it's going out the card in digital, it's going into the transmitter in digital, and finally it goes to analog when it goes into the VCO and stuff. So that's perfect. So this wave input from PC is nice because it can actually act as an actual sound card. That's the reason why I don't use Stereo Tool, by the way, is because I don't like all the in-out stuff, and you get all this, like, you get all these cables that are going back and forth, and noise can get in those cables, and the noise causes a buzz, and it goes into the RF, and it just sounds bad, and it's just kind of junky. Plus, the great thing about this is these chips, they do all the processing on the card, so the CPU is not used for anything. So this thing can be processing, you know, a lot of data, and it's not going to slow down the PC. And if you're doing other things on the PC, like you're maybe loading up streaming things or something like that, it's not going to matter because it's not going to affect this thing. I believe this thing has a 25 milliseconds minimum delay, and it goes up to 100 if you want the best quality. So it's got a delay, but it's not too bad. I don't know if I'm going to end up noticing that or not when I actually install it. But anyway, let's get on to that part of the video. Alright, I am back. I've got the transmitter running here. I've got this thing, the Pira CZ P275 FM analyzer right here. So this will give us the frequency deviation. Got the spectrum analyzer running with a very short span so you can see the carrier very well, and the MPX and pilot signals on either side there. I have the Optimod PC1100 V2 optimized edition. There it is right there. If you hear noise in the background, that's just the heating system. By the way, this fan here, if you listen to it, it sounds kind of noisy, like it sounds like an old fan with bad bearings on it, but it's actually not. I came to find that as soon as I lift this thing off of this, it is completely silent. It sounds very good. So there's some sort of turbulence that's getting created in there, and it's making that weird noise. So it's not actually junky. 12.8 volts, power output, 50 watts. Alright, so we're ready to go. I'm going to test this out. I already listened to this, and it sounds really, really good. But we're just going to play. Alright, so I'm just playing some random music in here right now. So you'll see right here, wave input from PC. That is what is being played out of the sound card inside of this PC. So this is coming directly from what's playing on here. Then we could have analog input or digital inputs as well. So I've got this set to a mid-range level. As you can see up there in the corner, we've got the input. Apparently it is advised to make the input a little bit low there. That is actually an advisable thing to do. Not sure why, but they said to do it that way. So we've got the input signal a bit lower, and I guess that makes the AGCs and the gain reduction work properly. You can see the output is all the way near the top though, and pretty consistent, which is what we're looking for. So we can see this, it's now calming down. The song is ending. I think it'll play a different one pretty soon. There it goes. Alright, so it's working. So let's take a look over here. What are we getting? Okay, so the level is a little bit low. That could be because the volume setting on the transmitter is not optimal. As you can see right here, well, that's not as high as it was before. Okay. It's not bad, but it's not great. Before it was giving me a lot higher stuff. This could be a quiet portion of the song. I'm not sure. I'm gonna just leave that as is. Okay. So, it's possible that I need to set this a little bit higher. Now, remember, this is not the type of transmitter you should be using this kind of audio processor with. But, you know, I'm just using it for a quick demonstration, just to see. I'm curious, like, what is it like to put a pro audio processor into a really cheap Chinese transmitter? See, I've got these right here. This is just a 3.5 millimeter adapter, which is going into this. It's an adapter to XLRs right here, and these XLRs are coming out the back of the PC that has the Optimod in it. So that's how I'm feeding it. So let's take a look. Now that I raised the volume, let's take a look. Okay, I think I saw 79. I don't know. I mean, I would expect a better level. Yeah, okay. See, this is not optimal, clearly. Now, I don't know if this is the audio processor not being optimal, or if this is the transmitter accentuating certain peaks. So here's the signal. We've got a span of, I guess, I don't know if you can see that on there. It says 205. The color might be too bright and it might be kind of blurry for you. I don't know why it's like that. I wish it would not be blurry. But it says 205. Okay. If I go out a little bit, you can see it's not actually too bad. It's not spreading too much. I mean, it's not good, but here, let's go. Now, I think it should be 150, because that's 75 and 75. I think that's what we're looking for here. So when I go to 150, oop, past it. Okay, that's 150. You can see there's still some stuff out there. I'm gonna do an average. Oh, you can see the peak slowly coming in there. That's interesting. Okay. Now, let's see if we can do a span. So this is 150 with the averaging on. Oh no, it turns it off. So now we're back to 200. Okay, now it turned it on again. Yeah, okay, so you can see it's all the way down about there and there. So it's less than 200. Okay, it seems like about 175. Seems about like 175. That's pretty much how much space it's using. Alright, let's go back to clear right. I don't know if I'm doing this professionally, but, I mean, I'm trying to be very thorough. I mean, I do know what I'm doing, but not in a professional manner. It's kind of hard to explain what I mean by that, but that shows that this transmitter is not spreading too much. It is spreading slightly more than it should, but it's not bad. Meaning it's not going to run into adjacent stations, which is good. This is not too bad. Occasionally it peaks up to a 98, 100, something like that, but it's very rare. I think we were hitting a new song right there, so it went down a lot. Yeah, it's hard to tell. It might just be my source material, it might be the audio processor, why it's not hovering more around 70 most of the time. See, now we're getting peaks that are a little too high, but it's not too bad. But I can't show you right now because it's too much of a challenge for me to find a good receiver at this point. I might do it in the future, where I record the output of this thing to let you hear what it sounds like with this audio processor into it. But it sounds absolutely fantastic. It sounds amazing. So, like, if you want a really cheap setup that sounds like a commercial station, if you use one of these audio processors, costs $400, and then you get one of these transmitters, like or any Chinese transmitter that uses one of the better chips, you can have a really cheap station that actually sounds very, very good. So I'm very impressed with this. It's not perfect. It is spreading a little bit more than it should be spreading, but it's not too bad. And when I stop the music here, you'll see how it goes back to just the carrier and those two things on either side, and there's nothing after that. Okay, some things in the software that I didn't mention. So, right here, output levels. Don't get confused with this wave input from PC. This just controls the input level of what's going into the audio processor. If you want to change what's coming out of this thing, it's under output levels, analog output right here. Okay. I've got it set a little bit lower because this transmitter is a low-level device. In addition, if you're using a cheap transmitter, you've got to set it right here to this. See, analog output reference level, +4 or -10. So I have it set to -10 because we're using a line level audio, not studio level audio. If you were to use a pro transmitter, you would use this one right here. So all of this stuff is pretty standard. You might try setting this to a higher level to get more quality. I haven't tried any of this yet. I just got this set up. So if you're looking for like an extensive video on this, this is not it. I'm just kind of, messing with it. And then I've got low pass filter set to 15, obviously, because that is FM low pass filter. Is meant to be like that. Pre-emphasis I have set to flat because this transmitter that I'm using has the pre-emphasis built into it. It's got 50, I think. So I've just set it to flat so it would use its internal pre-emphasis. That is one of the big downsides of this Chinese FM transmitter, and almost all Chinese FM transmitters. They don't let you set the pre-emphasis. They just don't. And I don't know why, because it's so easy. That chip, that QN8066, it has like a bit in it that all you have to do is flip it to a 0 or 1 and it'll change it. And you don't have to change any components or do anything complicated, but they just don't bother to implement it. So that's pretty annoying. But anyway, it doesn't sound that bad though. It just sounds a little bit more trebly. So actually it sounds a bit more crispy, which I kind of like. So I don't mind it. But I mean, it means that I have to set pre-emphasis here to flat, because if I were to set it to 50 or 75 here, it would be double doing it because the transmitter already has. I think I'm going to end up doing a video on this audio processor into a professional transmitter. That way we can see if we get better results in terms of the spreading of the spectrum to make sure that it's not deviating above 75 kilohertz. Maybe a professional transmitter will work better with that. We'll see how that goes. Might do a video on that in the future, but not sure. Post a comment down below and let me know. Until next time, guys, have a good day.